Afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell for Thursday, April 21st, 2022. As myself and Scotty will try to get you updated, caught up to speed where tonight's market is already. Two finals in baseball. The Mets behind Carrasco defeat the San Francisco Giants 6-2, and the Yankees lose to Pineda and the Detroit Tigers 3-0. And shame on Mr. Boone. Can you imagine going to that game hoping to see history as Miggy gets his 3,000th hit and Boone walks him intentionally? Games going on right now. Hats off to the VIPs. First of all, we cash the Twins' first five. I think it was minus 126. 1-0 after five, and it is currently 1-0 top of the seventh. Mr. Ryan has just been pitching lights out this year. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. After we started 0-3 to start the week, we finally get back to the plus column, but with that said, the White Sox trail Cleveland 6-3. The White Sox offense has been anemic. I think, honestly, just my take that he left Ceason a tad too long. We cut it to one, and then in comes Graveman with a last name like that. Yeah, it was Graveman, all right. And they scored a quick two there, 6-3, bottom eight there. Sox trail 3-0 to Gausman. Scotty talked about Gausman. He just tweeted, not even 80 pitches. Will he get a complete game at Fenway? I say no, but what do I know? And lastly, Baltimore-Oakland, zeros, bottom of the second. See if they can crack 3,000 in the attendance today on Getaway Day. But with that all said, let's bring him in. The one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Afternoon, Scott.
Hey, Jeff. You know what I was thinking? You remember last year with all the hype around the Padres and the Dodgers and all that stuff and how fun that first weekend was when they played each other? Don't look at the schedule this weekend because they play each other.
I don't know if the Padres want that. Is it in L.A. or San Diego?
Hold on. I forgot to look at that. But I'll find out real fast. But I know that I know that they're playing each other starting tomorrow, and I am excited for that. They are playing in San Diego, which will make it more fun.
Okay.
First matchup is Urias and Nick Martinez. So Nick Martinez gets to see some of that fun. And then looks like the Dodgers are undecided against Yu Darvish, and then we'll see what Sunday brings. But here we go. We got some fun coming up.
I assume they will be the Sunday night ESPN game too.
Probably. I can only see right now on the TV calendar part of it. I can only see up to Sunday. But why wouldn't they be? I mean, holy shit, they're gonna put Kansas City and Seattle on.
You know, we've talked now. We're 2 weeks in. For me today, it was more frustration because you get the lead with Minnesota. We only played them in the first five, so it's a one-run lead, and it's not a half run either, so that was good. They just had to win. But when you get behind in the other game, when you got two games on the board, and then you're fighting uphill the whole time, and I know it's only 2 weeks in, slow starts, short preseason, spring training, whatever we want to say, but definitely you could start a 2-week handful of teams that are definitely off to slow starts and very disappointing, Scott.
I guess it depends on I guess it just depends. If you're expecting all teams to do well, obviously, I think that we're in a spit situation where that's not going to be the case, because that can't be the case. But I think too, there you can certainly look at some surprising things. That doesn't necessarily mean teams are going to do super well. Like the Guardians, for example. I mean, holy shit, nobody thought they were going to hit the ball this way. And then secondly, you look at teams like, I don't know, the Yankees, right? I mean, the Yankees can't score, they can't hit, they can't do a lot of things. So that's a little bit disappointing. But I would also say this. And I don't want to beat this into the ground because this is not the right thing to beat into the ground. But that protracted, shortened, whatever you want to call it, spring training has affected the start of the season. Now, let me go look at one thing real quick before I make any kind of crazy ass silly statements. One of the things that I was looking at the other day is, for example, the New York Yankees have gotten off to a terrible start in my mind. I mean, they got beat by Baltimore. They played Boston, beat them 2 out of 3. They played the Blue Jays, and they split with the Blue Jays. So they're not winning, and they're playing teams in their own division. Yet when you go look at them, they lost today, and it's not updated obviously, but they lost today. Well, maybe it is updated. They're 7-6. So when you look at in the grand scheme of things, they're a half game back.
I was going to say, and as you were saying where you were going with this, I bet you the majority of these teams, if you could have said May 1st, you're 500, they would have signed up for it.
Yeah, I think that's where we should be thinking, because I think that the question is going to be things like this. You go into the National League East, and that's a division you can't afford to let somebody get way the hell out there. And you got to be careful because the Mets are on a run here. And I get it. Atlanta came from way back, and Philadelphia, they fought hard to get to 500 and stuff last year. But this is a division those teams are going to beat each other up because they're all pretty good. So when one of them gets a lead, like the Mets are 4 games ahead already, 4. And if they are to stretch that out over the next, say, 2 weeks to say 8 to 10, look, these teams are going to have a battle all season long to catch the Mets, because the Mets are going to get DeGrom back maybe. And if they get DeGrom back and they got the Scherzer throwing like crazy, and Carrasco's doing great, and Lindor's hitting home runs like he has been, and that Marte's not even playing well yet for that team. And Bassett's throwing like we think Bassett's going. Look, this team's going to be really good. So I think there's some cautionary things that are in play here. But I don't think it's panic time, because, most of these teams aren't out of it no matter what happens. And especially the teams that are, favored to do well, like the White Sox, they're going to lose here in a little bit. And it was a good matchup for them. They just ain't hitting the ball. So they end up being 500 after today. They're going to be behind the Cleveland Guardians, but over the course of the season, that's not going to stay that way. Plus they get a little bit healthy. The kid that pitched yesterday, Lambert, who pitched pretty well yesterday, kept them in the game in the second game. It was 2-1. Kind of got a bad break in that game, but he got the option to AAA today. So what does that tell you? Well, that tells you Lucas Giolito's on his way. He's back, and that's a guy they need. A guy they might not need is this Dallas Keuchel guy. Dallas Keuchel goes out there, gives up 10 runs in 1 inning. Okay, game's over. Let's go. Now to the next one. And that's what happens when you're a soft tosser, right? I mean, if you don't put the ball where it's supposed to go, or I shouldn't say it that way, when you don't put the ball where you want it to go, or move the ball in the direction or course you want it to move directionally, whether it's vertically or horizontally in movement, you're going to get hit. And I think that that's part of the trouble when you're trying to gamble on these games. And that's like tonight, right? Gonzalez pitches tonight. He's that guy. He's that guy that if you are moving the ball around and the vertical movement is good and you hit your spots, he's hard to hit. But he's easy as a batting practice pitcher when it isn't doing what he wants it to do. So how do you bet on a guy like that? Well, you just bet on him when he's in his hot series and his hot streak, and you bet against him when he's having trouble and hope that he doesn't find it. That's all.
I'm going to switch it up today. We're going to go over to Wager Talk, show the screen. Like I said, there's 3 NBA games. Just following the numbers and listening to social media, or should we say the public and the degens or the so-called experts. First and foremost, anyone that has just started following us, and we've gotten a handful. Maddie, good shout out at UConn. We're starting to get some traction over there. Please do us a favor. Run over to YouTube and Twitch. Subscribe. It's free. Smash the like button and turn on the notifications, and you'll never miss a show with us. So thanks to all and everyone else that's new to the show. Make sure you're following us on the social media, and our handles are down below. Hearing a lot of, I think the whole world will be on Memphis today. They lose game 1, they win game 2. And even though Minnesota's at home, who's a dangerous team, Memphis is 2.5. I do see a 2 at DraftKings, but I wouldn't be surprised if that leaked to 3 by tip-off there. Dallas, Utah. You got a yay or a nay on Luka, Scott, for Dallas?
Let me see. It's a toss-up to play. I got nothing yet.
Game time decision probably. Opened at 7.5, pushed to 8. Assumption is he won't play in my eyes. And Golden State, Denver. Listen, Golden State gets I think gets a little breath of fresh air, because it sounds like Booker could be out for a while now, just like in the East. In Milwaukee, Middleton's going to be out for a while. So things are changing on both sides of the East and West Conference. But I'm hearing a lot of people on Golden State today. Opened at 2.5 now, 2. Again, it's Custard's last stand with a lot of these teams. Excuse me, down 2-0 yesterday. Toronto lost, now down 3-0. That's just a matter of time there. A win by Golden State here, obviously, and it looks like that would be the same here. Golden State's just outmanning them. It's Jokic and a cloud of dust on Denver, and Golden State's playing some good ball there. But just be careful. My gut says probably one of those road teams wins and one loses. If I had to dig deep, I might say Denver finds a way to dig deep, but they have just looked outclassed here. So just be careful today. Got a couple MLB games left on the docket and a few NHL games. But Scotty, we did the breakfast bankroll this morning. Anything change in your eyes for the rest of the afternoon and evening?
No. I think that there's a possibility that in that Pittsburgh and Chicago Cubs game, there could be some runs scored there. I think that what is that number now? It's sitting at Pittsburgh. It's sitting at 8.5 and 9 in some of these places. So I mean, it just kind of, these guys sometimes make it a little hard to figure out which way to go, right? Because if you want to bet over the 8.5, you got to pay 125. But if you want to play under 9, you got to bet minus 115. So it's kind of one of those weird spots. But I think that this is going to be one of those games where you got Leiter on the mound, who is not his the uncle and the kid of his uncle, his nephew or whatever. He's not that guy. This is Mark Leiter, and Mark Leiter is he throws hard, but he's been getting hit a lot. And
the other one is what, Jack Leiter from Vanderbilt, right?
Yes, and he you're not going to see him this year, I don't think. You won't see him till next year. Now I say that, and anything can happen. I mean, look at Texas. I mean, they need pitchers, so I mean, it's possible that they could see him, but I don't think so. he would have to be really stretched out, and he would have to be really in good shape probably and throwing well to move along in that regard. But so I don't really see that as a I think that next year would be okay for him. I think this year would be, hey, let's figure out what professional baseball is about. Let's get you going into minor leagues. Let's work on making sure that you get at least 2 pitches before we bring you to the big leagues, and all that kind of stuff. But Bryce Wilson and Mark Leiter are liable to get hit today. And I know that we're talking about Pittsburgh and Chicago, but if you look at them, offensively, they're not doing as bad as you might think. And that's what the weird thing is. You're thinking about Yankees and you think about White Sox and all the offense that they have. Put the Cubs out there, put the Pirates out there, and those offenses are better than the Cubs, are better than the Yankees and the White Sox right now. So I expect some scoring out of that one. And other than that, I mean, I like the lineup that Miami's put out there today.
They heard me. They finally heard me.
We got Jazz Chisholm out of the 9-hole finally. So I think that this whole thing about baseball at the beginning of the season, so it's a little frustrating, only in the sense that you think these teams are going to be what they are, and I'm not going to say guarantee, but I will put a strong label on the idea that they are who you think they are. They're just not there yet. Now the question becomes is what's the cost of that? And currently, I don't think there is a cost unless you're in the National League East. That's the only division you got to watch because the Mets are out there running away with stuff right this minute. I mean, 4-game lead, and if you're not gonna hold into that, you could be behind by 8 pretty quick.
And the Guardians close it out, and the White Sox have now lost 4 in a row. Guardians win 6-3 there. I broke down the NBA again. There's nothing jumping off the slate. The afternoon board was a lot stronger. We took our swings with 2. We lose some juice there.
Gosman's at 87 pitches through 8. What do you think?
You want my honest 2 cents? I think they'll bring him out, see how he does in the 9th. I don't think there's a reason to get him. I think this is perfect. But if they don't feel confident in that back end, I get it. But again, one of those gets the first out and then a bleeder. Now you're caught in no man's land. So if you're going to get someone up, you might as well bring him in. That's just my 2 cents.
Well, I'm gonna guess that he's gonna get yanked in there because this is if he comes out and his closer comes in, it's a save. So I think that's what'll happen. I think those guys get paid to make saves, and I think that's what'll end up happening.
St. Louis, Miami. I retweeted the lineup change. Yes, Jazz is now batting first. They did move Solar to third, and that's exactly what I said they should have done. Craig Mish posted it earlier today. Thank you, Craig. Big fan of yours and all the work that you do for the Marlins. And
yes, he's great. He's great.
He is good. And he's been put through misery for a long, long time. I'd like to see his Marlins get back on the map. Eileen Lopez. I can't lie. I had Miami first 5 yesterday. I'm torn if I'm going to go back in because I know if Jordan's on, he throws gas. And I think this change in the lineup, you get Jazz on first. Jordan gets a little shooken. He's going to try to steal second. You got some length now with the Soler batting third. I've talked to anyone that wants to listen for years. Marlins are great at putting guys on base, but they just cannot get them across. So I'm going to dig deeper after this show. I do lean Miami first 5, guys. I can't lie. I do lean Miami first 5. Pittsburgh, Chicago, I don't have much to say in those lanes there. The Texas-Seattle game, I'm torn because I'm not a big Gonzalez fan like last night. I wasn't a big Odorizzi guy, but Gonzalez has had my number a few times. We've backed him before, and boy, has he gotten his boobs lit up, and I've gone against him, and he's looked like, Randy Johnson out there. So,
if it helps, he's off a good start.
And you've talked about where Texas ranks versus lefties as well. So how about you give me a little background on T. Hearn, and it's not Thomas Hearns, the boxer.
Well, Mr. Hearn is he is a former um, relief pitcher. So he did start last year. So I don't want to sound like this is something that he's doing this year, and it's something that he's only doing for the first time, because he did start last year. Now, his well, I shouldn't say it this way. My concern with him is that I'm trying to pull him up here. He's got good strikeout stuff, and he's got a pretty low walk rate and so forth. But he's one of these guys that just doesn't have. Let me pull up this other thing, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Flip to last year. He is where is he? So he's a 94 mile an hour fastball guy. So that's a little bit above average. Your average is about 93 right now. And he's a 3-pitch pitcher. So he throws fastball, slider, changeup. He doesn't throw a curveball, doesn't throw anything cutter. So he's got those 3 pitches. However, of those 3 pitches, the balls that move, the slider and the changeup, because a changeup's not straight, but it's a changeup. Those are negative pitches. So what does that mean? That means that average offenses score more runs against that pitch than they don't. His only plus pitch is a fastball. So if you're going to go and play Seattle, for example, and Seattle, and all you really bring out there's a fastball, teams are going to hit that. So that's my concern with Taylor. His name's Taylor, by the way, Taylor Hearn. And then I wanted to tell you, he made last year. He made 11 starts last year. So it's not like he didn't, but he only threw 51 innings and 11 starts. Jeff, think about that. That's
Well, that's the major league now. Give us 4 2/3, and we'll thank you.
So I mean, I don't think he's a bad pitcher. I just don't think he's stretched out. I don't think he's been trusted. And if your team's not going to trust you, I'm not going to trust you. I'm not going to put money on a guy that your team's not going to trust. So that's kind of my feeling with him. Until he turns that corner where they leave him out there for 6, 7 innings, 3 or 4 times, then I'll be okay with it. But I think that he's going to end up probably an average starter at best. He's not made that many starts, so I mean he's probably better than Mike Fulton-Avich, who they had last year.
NHL, we talked about it. Not a lot of games on the board. Okay, there you go, right there. Detroit, Florida minus 600. Good luck there. And the under/over is a touchdown with an extra point. So juiced over, by the way. So you need the 2-point conversion to cover that one. Buffalo, New Jersey, no thanks. Philly, Montreal, no thanks. Pittsburgh against the Bruins, rotation number 35-36. Pittsburgh opened up at 125, currently 119. At Circa, you can grab Pittsburgh plus 109. Don't have a good feel on either side there, to be honest with you. I did talk about this one, rotation number 39 and 40, Rangers and Islanders. I think the Islanders are a sneaky dog here. They're just playing out the string, but they've been pretty good at home lately. So you can grab them at around a plus 110 right now. Kind of surprised at the opening number here, rotation number 41-42, Toronto, Tampa. Who would have thunk? Toronto 51-20-5. Your Lightning 46-22-3. An opening number of 135, currently 130 at South Point, but all the way down to 110 at Westgate. So you can shop around if you're looking at either side there. Vancouver, Minnesota. I said I think Vancouver's sneaky here. You could get some. If you didn't think that they're going to win the game, you could shop around and even get the plus goal and a half on that one. And I've been talking about this. I'll go to the well one more time. And actually, you know what? I'm going to try to break the streak here. We are 0-3-1 in free plays, so I'm going to break the streak right now here. So bear with me, everyone who's watching here. Do 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 do. The ECSI freebie of the day, brought to you by no one. Actually, how about this? We'll give Circa a shout out. After the NFL draft this weekend, the following weekend, Kentucky Derby weekend, they are supposed to announce their contest for the year. We will be having Jeffrey Benson on I think we're going to have him on next Friday, actually. Actually, the Friday after, I apologize, the draft. And he'll be talking Derby. He'll be talking Circa. We'll talk some contests as well. But I want everyone to go to rotation number 4748, 1035 face-off. Chicago at the Kings. The Kings kind of, sort of, I don't want to say like Vegas, but they got 41 wins. They're hanging around with a week and 3 days left of the season. They're minus 245. Obviously, we're not going to play that, but we will play the puck line minus a goal and a half. And if you shop around there, I'll give you the exact number. How's that? Let's see what their number is for you on the puck line. Currently, minus 1.5 is minus 110. So your freebie play of the day, the Los Angeles Kings, rotation number 48, minus a goal and a half, minus 110. And that's your freebie of the day. Scotty, do we have any words of wisdom?
Sure.
Right, it's that time of the day for Scotty's words of wisdom.
So today I wanted to talk a little bit about risk taking and how to use that as a valuable asset to you, not only in your business world, but obviously in what we do. So risk taking can be good when you push to extend your comfort zone. It's not necessarily something that's good when you go and you try to break the boundaries of your comfort zone. And there's a caveat to that. And the caveat is that you shouldn't be doing a lot of risk taking unless it helps you achieve your goal, right? So 1 + 1 = 2 here. So it all comes down to knowing yourself and your limits, but moving forward will depend on pushing boundaries and not breaking them. So benefits include things like self-confidence. Like maybe you have trouble speaking in public and you push your boundaries a little bit and you get up and you start speaking in public and that builds your confidence. You can have increased skill sets or improved abilities. Maybe you learn some new function and that helps you do things differently and better as you move down the road. And of course, obviously, maybe it helps with financial rewards, right? Maybe you have taken some risks and do some things and you get promoted and now you take on a new job role or something. So you're making more money. So what it comes down to is a couple of things here. One, you got to figure out how do you develop these skills and or how do you decide what's worth it and what isn't. So number one, development of assessment of risk is important. And I think it's just as simple as listing out the pros and the cons, right? This is the positives and the negatives of whatever it is that you're trying to decide on the risk, right? Because you need to understand whether it is a calculated risk or if it's an unnecessary risk. And unnecessary risks are not important. Those are things that are thrill-seeking kind of things. And when we're talking about being successful in life and in business, thrill-seeking isn't one of them. So move past fear of failure, right? Because if you obsess over worst-case scenarios, you're never going to get to where you're going to go because you're always being limited by the fear of having something stop you. And then that fear then is what stops you. So the key to that is just to focus on potential positive outcomes, right? Just focus on the things that will happen in place of that. Think about the upside of change, right? Everybody always thinks about change and change is necessary. Most people agree. But at the same time, a lot of people don't like change. But if you focus on the upside of change, then you can think about how that focuses in on obtaining your goals and your objectives of your goals. And then because you're going to be working towards the steps towards those, not necessarily focused in on the things that changed in your life or in your business world. And then lastly, the incremental risk, right? So it's not necessary to just dive right into the deep end and take on the biggest risk there is available to you. You can do smaller ones. You can do one at a time and take little steps. And then all of a sudden you're at a point where you're moved along and you have taken the smaller ones, but you're continuing down the path of risk taking. And as long as you're doing that, you're moving forward. You have to move forward. You can't stand still and you can't move back. So moving forward is really important. Now, in our business, in the sports world, risk comes in two parts. The first part of risk is the idea that you have to choose your play. What pick are you going to have and how many are you going to have? So there's risk involved in what you're going to pick. And then secondly, there's the money management part. How much you're going to put on them. How are you going to manage your account? And I think that when you're doing this, you've got to understand, if you don't have goals, if you don't have those outlined for yourself, it makes this really, really difficult. It's almost impossible to go and say, okay, I'm going to put $10 on this game or $50 on that one and $100 on this one. And then you're going to go win the two games that you put $10 and $50 on and lose the one you put $100 on. And then you come back, God, I was 2-1, but yeah, I lost money. So you got to figure this out and you got to put steps to it. And as you're doing these things, I think you're going to get to a point where you'll know what the boundaries are. You'll know how to push the boundaries and the edges of those. You'll learn how to grow with calculated risks. And then all of a sudden, you're going to be in a position that you go back on things and go, you know what? I learned some stuff. I'm more self-confident. I have better abilities. And I can understand where the edges are and how to push the boundaries to actually obtain what I'm trying to get accomplished. So I think that's the important part of this is to make sure that all of those things happen in the right direction, in the right way for yourself. Using risk properly is important.
Well, of course, we get some news from Mr. Bob Nightingale. And when's the last time he said anything of good news? Trevor Bauer administrative leave extended once again till April 29th. There was talks that last Saturday, Trevor thought he had it, and he didn't. And you know what, Strzok? You dance with the devil, and we talked about it. Gosman out, Romano in, 3-2 now. Sox second and third, no outs.
I'm going to give you an update. It is 3-2, man on third, 2 outs, and Jackie Bradley's at the plate.
Strike 3. See, you wouldn't want to be you. He's actually hit the ball pretty good this year, just right at people, but that's what Jackie does there. So
Gosman came out and Trevor Story got a base hit and they jerked him right there. And then they brought in Romano who walked the first guy and then double ground out is what's going on.
Risk reward. So many times I talk on Sundays, I say you're up 2.5 units and you wake up and say, I got a free swing. And you usually end up giving that back. And then by 4, 5, 6 o'clock, you're itching because you want to play again and you lose again. And you end up paying the man 2 or 3 units. Or if you're down 2.5, 3 units going into Sunday, you probably end up paying the man 7 or 8 units. And you need a plan. There are so many slogans in these lanes, you got to risk the biscuit and all these crazy sayings. And it's kind of comical, but at the end of the day, I think 95% of the people out there just call it entertainment. If they collect, hey, good for them. They spend it quicker than they can, nothing worse than winning $500 one week and paying the guy $1,000. They'll do that every week for you if you want to do that. Sure, win 1 week for $5, and then lose the next week for $1,000. Hey, I had 3 out of 4 winning weeks. Yeah, how'd you do? Well, for the month, I only lost $1,000. Well, I thought you had 3 out of 4 winning weeks. Well, I had one bad week, and so. Good stuff as always. I want to thank everyone watching and listening as we are growing big and bigger. A lot of stuff behind the scenes really coming together. It is a slow process, and it's frustrating on our side of the desk, but it is what it is when you're dealing with corporate America. Nothing worse than people talking about in the last week of April. Well, yeah, sounds good, but let's wait till football when you got so much going on in the sports world with NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, baseball, the Kentucky Derby coming up, the draft coming up, OTAs, yada yada. So there's so much. Instead of saying, okay, at the All-Star break, let's get it going now for 6 weeks till football. It doesn't work that way.
Toronto wins 3-2.
Of course they did. So they take the series 2-1. And they head up to Toronto. And I did see something last night that the New York Yankees have now said everyone is all set, and they're ready to head on over to Toronto as well. So, with that said,
they got to make those choices. Like, it's not like the Canadian government's going to go, oh, you guys are New York Yankees. We're going to let you come in here and play unvaccinated. I mean, it's not going to work that way. So either get your shot or stay home.
And get paid or not paid. So, with that said, tomorrow, 10:30 our time here back east, the one and only Brady Tinker. I don't want to say well known in the Dallas area in sports and broadcasting, works with the Cowboys, works with the Mavericks, works with the Rangers, and we're going to have a great talk about Jordan Spieth. He's a personal friend of Jordan. We're going to talk Rangers baseball and expectations. We're going to talk Cowboys, life without Amari Cooper, and expectations moving forward, and the draft, and a lot more. So please join us there at 10:30 Eastern time. And then in the afternoon, myself and Scott will be back 4 or 4:30. I'll have it up on the timeline there, trying to figure out what's better for some and what's better for others there. So if you are wagering today, tonight, tomorrow, please do it responsibly. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number available. Ask for help. Why? Myself and Scotty care. We'd like to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest. From my partner, Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. We wish everyone a blessed evening. Best of luck tonight. Have some fun. Cash a few tickets. And we will see you tomorrow morning.